everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bethany. If you're new here, I do motherhood and lifestyle videos here on my channel. And I am so excited to be filming this video today because she is finally here. This is my fourth baby. This is my daughter. And she is still very small, very much a newborn, and I'm excited to kind of share my birth story with you today. I had taken a bit of video at the hospital and I didn't have enough for like a birth vlog, but I kind of just wanted to share my birth story with you and show you her birth and just how exciting it was, and that we're just adjusting at home to everything and we're doing really well. So anyways, yeah, this is Torin Grace. So she was born on August 28th and she is just such a sweet little bundle of joy. Kind of just starting off with my birth story. If you are new here, I have had 4 C-sections now. And so she was another C-section, and so this was actually another scheduled. So I've had 2 emergency C-sections and 2 scheduled ones. And I have some videos talking about what to expect during a C-section, but I'm kind of going to go through everything that happened and how things have been a little bit too. I will be coming out with a postpartum video and how I'm doing 2 weeks postpartum as well. So anyways, getting into it. So having like a scheduled C-section is so different just because you have like a day and a time that you know you're gonna give birth. And it's so interesting because it almost feels like Christmas morning. That's kind of how I describe it, because you're going in to the hospital, not in labor, no signs of labor, and you're just like, okay, we're gonna have a baby today. It is such a strange feeling, and I'm sure those of you who've had inductions could also maybe say the same, but it does feel very strange knowing that, yeah, you're just gonna have a baby on that day and that time. So anyways, we went into the hospital. I was the first one scheduled for that day to have a scheduled C-section. This was actually a smaller hospital than I've ever delivered at, and so things were a little bit different. I found that things were a little bit more straightforward. I was the first one of the day to get scheduled to have my C-section, and so it was awesome because I just went straight into the appointment. I didn't have to wait for anybody. We went in at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, no, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. We had to be there at 6 a.m. And so it was really strange. It was really dark outside, and so we just walked in. No one was around, and it was super quiet. And they put me into a triage room just to kind of get us all set up. I got into my hospital gown. They took my blood pressure. They took my heart rate. They also put in my IV, and they also gave my husband his like scrubs and his like hairnet and like all that stuff for him to put on. And basically we just waited there. My scheduled time for the C-section was 8 o'clock in the morning. Since they were all ready like quite early, they're like, hey, we're actually gonna go in a little bit earlier. So it was actually 10 to 8 that I was brought over to the OR, which was like basically just around the corner. Like, this was such a small hospital. It felt weird just kind of like, oh, we're ready here, instead of walking through different hallways and stuff. But yeah, it was so like weird feeling just kind of sitting there because my husband did ask me, like when we were getting ready, he's like, how are you feeling? And I'm like, I don't feel like I've really processed that this is happening. And I feel like that's kind of been a theme throughout the pregnancy. I feel like it went by so quickly, just because I've been so busy with other things that I almost just didn't really have time to process what was happening. And like, you know what's happening, but like your just mind isn't like caught up yet in some ways. And so, yeah, we were just sitting there waiting to go in, and we're just getting the OR all ready and stuff. And so, I was just sitting there with my husband, and we're just kind of like taking it all in, and they call me into the OR because my husband needs to stay out until they're basically started the surgery already, until he's able to come in. So I go into the OR, and it's a very like big open room. Like, this is probably the biggest OR I think I've actually given birth in. And it was very relaxed. They had like a big TV on the wall, and they had Disney music playing, which is so funny. The OB that I had, she's just really awesome, and it was just like a fun environment. The one thing I was really nervous about was actually my spinal. So when you get a C-section or a scheduled C-section, you don't have like an epidural, say if you're in labor, you get a spinal. And so I was really nervous for that because with my youngest son, that was actually the most painful part for me, was getting the spinal. It was just so incredibly painful. But this time I actually didn't feel anything. Like even them putting like a little bit of anesthetic in my back, I didn't even feel that. It was crazy that it felt like nothing. Like they're like, okay, you're gonna feel a bit of a pinch, and I didn't feel a single thing. So it was definitely an answer to prayer, because I was praying that it wouldn't be painful for me, because I was just really not looking forward to that. And I think too, like my previous C-section, like I had a lot more sensation than I did this time. I felt like the spinal maybe was placed in a better area or something. After they had done that, they laid me down on the table, and then yeah, they put a catheter in you after the freezing starts to take effect, which is kind because that's obviously not comfortable. And so yeah, you're just kind of laying there and just kind of waiting for them to get started and for them to get ready. They put the blue like drape up in front of you, and this time they actually, well, I know that they strapped down my legs, but they actually strapped down my arms. And for some reason that just like really triggered me. Like it was just like knowing that you're just strapped to this table, and I've never had my arms strapped in before. And so I was like, I kind of started to have like a lot of anxiety, and I think in a way it was like this huge wave of emotion for me, and I just couldn't stop crying. And I think what it was just like knowing that you're closing a chapter. What's okay? Knowing that you're closing a chapter in your life, and in some ways like coming to terms with things not going the way that you had hoped or had planned, and kind of feeling scared, a little nervous, because you know what's to come, right? You know, postpartum's gonna be hard. And so, man, I didn't expect to get emotional. Are you okay? Where'd it go? Hold on. But anyways, Luke hadn't come into the OR yet, and so I was just kind of waiting there, and no one was really talking to me at that point. So I was just kind of like, you know, waiting there as they're working on me. And so then I asked them, I'm like, you need to unstrap my arms. I can't have my arms strapped. I've never had that. I was like, you need to unstrap them. He's like, it's for safety purposes. And I'm like, I understand that. I was like, I promise you I will not be moving my arms. After that, they had brought Luke in, and obviously he saw that I was crying, so he was dabbing my face and just reassuring me everything's gonna be okay. And it's wild because like I had no idea that I actually had even started the surgery, and by the time Luke had come in, I think it was maybe only 5 minutes until she was born. Like it was so quick. I didn't have as much sensation as I did the previous time, and so that was also an answer to prayer, because I just was really nervous for that, because like you know what's happening to your body, but when you can kind of feel what's going on, that is also not awesome because you're awake, right? You're completely awake during this major surgery. But yeah, it wasn't like more than like 5 minutes, and they dropped down the curtain, and it was a clear curtain, so I could see her, and she was born, and we could not believe just how tiny she was. She was so small. You know, our other kids were 8 pounds, 7 pounds, and she came out at 6 pounds even. Like she was so tiny. And I could see through the curtain. It was completely clear, and I held her little hand as we did some delayed cord clamping for about a minute, and we just took her in, and I immediately said to Luke, I was like, oh my gosh, she looks so much like her brother. And it was such a sweet moment. I can't describe to you being able to see your baby being born, especially when you have a C-section. It is just a beautiful moment. And so once they were finished with the delayed cord clamping, they brought her over to the table, and they kind of put her in a blanket and weighed her and everything. And then they brought her over to me, and this was actually for the first time. Like my husband was usually like whisked away to another room, But Luca actually was able to stay with me, and Torn was actually able to just be in his arms the whole time while they were stitching me up, which was pretty amazing. And so he actually stayed in the OR the entire time that they finished working on me, and as they rolled me into the recovery room, which I had never had before. Usually he was in another room doing skin to skin while I waited to be, you know, finished up and stitched up and everything, but he was in there the whole time with her, which was so sweet. And it was just, yeah, it was a really, really quick and easy birth. I think the OB, she said to me, she's like, well, that's it. That's 28 minutes. I try to be as quick as I can. And that was probably the shortest C-section I've ever had. And it went really, really well. And so then I was whisked away to the recovery room where we did skin to skin for the first time, and did breastfeeding and trying to latch and all those things. And yeah, and she latched and did a great job. And I just, again, just soaking in those moments. That golden hour after birth is truly so amazing, and it's one of the most precious, just the most precious times in my life, is having just that newborn baby in your arms for all 4 of my kids. Seriously. Like I said, the hospital was a little bit smaller than what I was used to giving birth in. 45 minutes in the recovery room and everything looked good. I was put into a shared postpartum room, and so that's the first time I've ever had to share a room with another mom and their significant other, and it was an interesting experience to say the least. I don't think that it is setting moms up for the right mental state, especially when you had just given birth, you're so tired, and then you're not sleeping very well because nurses are coming and going. And then you have the other people's visitors and their baby crying, and it's just, yeah, it was a really interesting experience. So I was there for 2 nights. They actually cleared me to go home after the first night. I was looking so good, which was awesome. But they wanted to do some further testing on my daughter just to make sure that her bilirubin levels were good, just because of the crazy antibody that I had developed in my last pregnancy. But it actually didn't affect her whatsoever, which is super interesting, and her levels were good. And so we actually left the next day, which I was so ready to leave because, to be honest, I just do not like hospitals at all. And that's kind of, I know it's kind of ironic since I've had 4 C-sections, but truly, like, I only go there if I need to. We made it home, and we have just been enjoying her, getting used to having 4 kids, and just, yeah, soaking in all of these moments as a family of 6. It's been super crazy, just being able to say that. But I'm so thankful my husband has been able to take a paternity leave, and so he's been at home just helping out with the 3 kids, and we've had a great community who've given us meals for the last 2 weeks, and my parents are coming soon, and we've just been feeling so incredibly blessed by people in our life. And just during this time, it's been such a precious time, but I can definitely tell you that I am so tired. I have not been getting much sleep at all, but that's just how the newborn stage is, and I'm just trying to soak it all in, as this is my last newborn stage. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to my birth story. Again, I didn't get a ton of video in the hospital just because I was sharing a room with another mom, actually 2 different first-time moms, so it was like really neat to just encourage them because they were given a lot of information from the nurses, and I'm like, you're doing great, like, just keep going. And so I didn't get a ton of footage there, but I'm just thankful for the stuff that I did get, and we've just been enjoying our time at home, just taking it slow and enjoying the moment. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my birth story and how everything went, and let me know down below if this is similar to yours or some details about your birth story, because I love hearing about them. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm so happy you could meet little Miss Torin here today, and we'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.